Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Innovators Innovator podcast. I'm the user group guy, Richard Doyle. I'm here with my regular co-host, Professor Michael LaFleche. We've got a great show for you today, talking all about customer success with great guests, and I'm looking forward to this show. Michael, what do you think?
I've been excited about this show for a couple of weeks now. It was the holiday break, so we took a little vacation from the podcast, but now we're back and we've got a lot of guests here to kind of get the new year kicked off. So you see all the guests here. The first guest I'm going to introduce is Jocelyn Willis. And Jocelyn Willis is a very good friend of mine, and she's just a great person, and she works at Onshape. And we're going to talk about customer success. And customer success is just so important in the world of mechanical engineering, but across all industries, right? Keeping customers happy and making sure that customers are getting what they need is obviously, the lifeblood of any business, especially a cloud native business. So, we wanted to talk about that style of doing work as far as, keeping customers happy, engaged, and you're going to tell us a lot more about this, Jocelyn. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Michael. I'm happy to be here. And hello to everybody watching. Like Michael said, my name is Jocelyn Willis, and I'm our Global Director of Customer Success at Onshape. It has been a pleasure being a member of the team. I'll tell you, one of the main reasons that I joined was our fearless leader, John Hirschtick, being all about the customer. So it has just been a pleasure to really follow his guidance and provide what we do to all of our users out there.
Tell me a little bit more about what customer success is. There's different ways of handling customer support in the world of any kind of software business, but a customer success model is very different than perhaps, calling up 1-800 hotline or something like that. So what is your definition of what the customer success model means?
Sure. I think the biggest difference is really driving value in a proactive manner. So in my opinion, what makes Onshape support so special is that we try to continue the conversation from the pre-sales process and understanding why someone would be purchasing Onshape and what kind of value are they going to get out of the platform, and then laying the groundwork for how they're going to achieve that value. It's not a replacement for the transactional support that's also needed. And lucky for us, we have a team of in-house product experts that you can contact straight through the product. But really, what we do is we build your Onshape team. And so you'll have your sales rep, your customer success manager, your technical services engineer, which the industry title for that would really be applications engineer. And then, exactly. Yeah. And then the team of product experts through the product. And so we all work together to make sure that we're coming from all angles to ensure that you have what you need, that you're getting the value that you desired, so that you get the return on investment, and it's a win-win for everyone.
So how does customer success, speed problem resolution? Maybe you want to talk about that, and maybe we actually have several people that are part of that process here, hanging out on the line, waiting to jump in. Maybe that's a good time to bring them in.
Yeah, absolutely. I would just say one thing about the problem resolution and really speeding that up is, again, the multifacets. So having someone who's going to anticipate the challenges that you are going to face and making sure that you're aware of them, not challenges, but more change management. I think I'd want to say change management over challenges, and what to consider as you're making that transition. And then transactionally, when you have technical questions, having those answered in a very timely manner. So, we have Nick and Gabi, Nick from the customer success team and Gabi from the support team here. Love to hear from them as well.
Yeah, Gabi and Nick, if you have anything to add on, what your particular roles are and perhaps how you interact with the customer success team.
Sure. So my name is Gaby Rochino, and I'm the user experience team lead here at Onshape. But my team is actually combined user experience and technical support. So the people who are actually talking to you and helping you solve problems or logging bugs are also the people that are responsible for making design decisions for the next release of the product. And something I always like to talk about when I explain how our support team works is that when Onshape was created, we really focused on making support a feature of Onshape. So it's not like an add-on. It's not like a different system that um, you have to like figure out. It's actually like in the question mark dropdown of the product, and right then and there you can create a ticket with one of the people on my team. And with the sharing mechanisms that Onshape has, you can actually share the document with our team if you choose, and then we can jump right in there and see everything you're seeing, reproduce the problem. And that really makes the issue and the communication very streamlined for us to figure out.
That's amazing. So there's no packaging up of files. There's no special weird programs you have to send things in through. You're really just, it's right, literally, you're in the software and there's a question mark and you just share with somebody like you to address what the issue is.
Exactly. And we also have access to like the logs and your usage data. So we might not be able to see your company's data, but we'll be able to see when you're hitting multiple errors or doing a repeated action that we don't usually recommend. So we can even catch issues of users before they actually hit it.
Excellent. And Nick, maybe you're you've been with Onshape a couple of months now, right? So what has it been like being part of the customer success team? And maybe actually, why don't you just tell us a little bit more about what you do?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Nick Karantzoulidis. On the customer success team under Jocelyn. And what I like to say about what customer success does and what I do to our customers is we're here to make sure that you're successful and Onshape. Pretty straightforward. And we all make sure that they're getting the value when they come to Onshape. And we work in unison with support and technical services. Off of what Gabby was saying, once our customers, hit that little question mark, drop down, and send in their questions or anything like that. If it does need to be something more than just that support can message them on, I would be the one to get them onto a scheduled technical call with their dedicated technical service engineer. And it would be a live session that they would need, and they would elaborate more on those issues that they're running into. And yeah, so I'm just the person who's going to bridge everything that they run into to their solutions.
And Jocelyn, what would you add? Like, I mean, you're like, the ferocious customer advocate. You really do live and breathe this. I mean, what is this interaction, this process? How would you say, it's how would you say it's helpful for Onshape, and how would you say it's helpful for the customer? This process, because it might be a little different than what a typical engineer, because you're, Onshape's engineering software, an engineer might not be used to this process. So maybe you can just share a little bit more about how it helps the customer and how it helps Onshape.
Absolutely. So first, I just want to call out, I know you didn't really ask this directly, but all of this is free. I think that's also something that's really important to mention. You pay for your subscription and you automatically get this. So that alone is a standout from others in the industry.
Sure.
And for it being all in-house, I think that's what really helps both the customer and the Onshape team. That feedback loop is so key. It helps for that speedy resolution, and it also helps for us to, Gabi and her team, they take this feedback, they bring it to the R&D team. We have internal discussions, and the user really gets to drive changes in the product. And it's something that's always really excited me. I think it's definitely, well, it never gets old because we work with companies in every industry, and I think it's really cool that our tool helps like the world go around. But the fact that they can talk directly to us when they're having a challenge, and we can help their world going around, is really powerful. So I hope that answered your question. I went on a little bit of a tangent there because I get so excited about it all.
Well, that's why we have you here. You're just like you said, the ferocious champion of customer success. So it might be interesting for people to realize, like, Gabi, you're in UX, and it's the stuff that you hear from your customers, it also helps you in the design and further refinement of the application. Is that right?
Yeah, so it really helps us develop that empathy with the user, because everyone on my team actually are all mechanical engineers, have worked in the industry or have studied it in college. So we have used CAD in the past in our jobs or school projects. But of course, that perspective goes away the more that you work on the CAD side of things. So being able to talk to users and see example documents, see the way that they set up their documents, the way they structure things, really helps us understand that perspective of the user. So then we can be better advocates whenever we're talking about new features or what needs to get done with development.
Thank you. Yeah, it's amazing to hear how the product works that way. And we actually have somebody waiting to join in here. An actual customer, Ian Gardiner of Avidbots. So I'm going to add you right here. Hi, Ian. How are you?
Hi.
Oh,
Great.
yeah.
Welcome.
Hi there. Thank you.
So maybe you should introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Avidbots and some of the things you're doing, and maybe some of the customer success interactions that you've had.
Okay, sure. I'll give you a very brief introduction to our product. So Avidbots is developing a robotic floor cleaner, and we work in warehouses and retail spaces, airports, shopping malls. This is basically taking a tried and true industry of floor cleaning, and it's automating it. And we're really part of a huge wave of change right now. I think today I saw news reports about John Deere automating farm tractors. So farmers aren't going to have to sit in the cab anymore. They're, can look after their productivity and spend more time on their value added things instead of standing behind a machine like this. They can do things that are more suited to human and let robotics take care of these generalized tasks. So Avidbots is like our special feature is we have a dynamic obstacle detection that's unique in the industry. It's not just teach and repeat. You don't just show the robot what to do and it does it and then gets stuck when somebody's put something in the aisleway in front of it. We have special algorithms and sensors that are custom built for our product that make it really unique in the industry. So these are pictures of what it looks like, and this is what it looks like in Onshape. So a lot of this product development was done over the last few years in SolidWorks, but 2 years ago we shifted everything into Onshape, and we've been natively developing our next generation of robots all in Onshape. So the original native files for this were done in SolidWorks, but there were so many, we were at a point as a company, we have almost 300 employees now. We're at a point in the company where the complexity of data and communication across teams reached the point where we needed a more robust data management system. And when we looked at, comparable tools between different products, we realized, all the things that we want to do are come built into Onshape, and the freedom to collaborate with teams and to share CAD data was unparalleled. So we've shifted over about 2 years ago, and it has been wonderful. I love using Onshape every single day. But one of the surprise standouts for me was the customer support, because as a CAD user, you're not really expecting a whole lot in terms of, maybe this was just my previous experience. I'm not expecting a whole lot because, and it's not because other companies don't have great support people, but the way that Onshape is structured, it allows the interaction with customer service to be much closer. So if I have an issue or a question, I can just drop this down and contact support, and it creates a ticket. And blows me away is I will get a response very rapidly to that ticket. I mean, lots of SaaS-based products and our world is offering, a tracking and interacting with customers. But what blew me away is Onshape actually gives this level of support that I get a response, within a half hour or an hour. A live person will hit the issue and give me a resolution or give me steps on how we can start working on it together. I remember there was an actual moment, so I'm just going to go into my support tickets. There was an actual moment where I realized this was completely beyond anything I'd ever experienced before. I have a favorite support ticket, if you can believe it. So this one, I had a question about standard content. So I needed a specific socket head cap screw that I wanted. And, there's workarounds. You can make up your own cap screw from something else. But I reached out. 20 minutes later, Jason got back to me and said, "Is that the only size you need?" So I gave him 3 fasteners that I would like added. And 7 minutes later, Jason had already updated the standard content library. And I remember when I got that response, my jaw just fell open, because I realized, like, now what are we at? 2 million Onshape users. They all just got their standard content updated in 7 minutes.
What a great point.
So maybe a question. So I'll stop streaming now and just go back to interacting with you guys. But maybe a question for Gabi or Jocelyn or Nick. How is it possible for your team to be so responsive? Because that completely blew me away. And since then I felt much more free to interact, give product improvement suggestions, and ask questions, and I've always got a great response. How is it possible to be so responsive to so many users?
Yeah, so I really have to give kudos to my manager, Lou Gallo, for setting up a lot of these systems. So he's really made it very efficient in terms of how we communicate with the user and get basic information in order to solve the issues or reproduce the bug. And I think something that it really allows us to do is have that insight without having much back and forth with the user. So already when you submit your ticket, we know what browser you're in, what your browser window size is, and all this information where typically I've worked at other support teams for other CAD systems. There's a lot of back and forth, and the time between the messages can be pretty long too. But we always like to brag about how a lot of our tickets, most of them get solved within 2 transactions, so 2 back and forths. And that's really due to the fact that with Onshape, you can share your model fairly easily, share a screenshot if you want, mark it up, and really give information that is needed to solve the problem, rather than having to figure out all those technical issues.
From the customer experience point of view, like, it's, as I said before, I think every company has a good intention and they all want to serve their customers. It's just the structure of the software is such that I can share directly the thing that I want to communicate with the team. So we're both looking at the same thing. It is not dependent on my computer or server or versions of, Windows or anything like that. as a customer, like I really feel that level of support. It almost feels like I know a lot of the support people that I interact with on a first name basis. It almost feels like they're part of our company. So I get a response as quickly as someone within my own team. So I think it's, the structure of the software and the way that we interact is at a completely different place than traditional CAD systems.
And another differentiator that I want to point out is the way that we have our process is it really is a closed loop system, where in other support cases, you usually send a question or send an improvement request, and it's kind of just thrown into a black box and you don't really hear about it until like the yearly release, and it just happens to be something that you requested. But with the way that my manager has things set up with both our ticketing system and our internal systems for developers, once that once the new improvement is in development, we can go back and see all the tickets. We can reach out to you guys if you have any, if you want to participate in usability testings, or if we need more information. But then once that issue or that new feature is implemented, then you will actually be notified from us directly saying, thank you for helping us improve Onshape. Check out Onshape now. It should be fixed, or it's implemented now.
Can I
And yeah,
piggyback on that and say, shameless plug, anyone out there who thinks it's not worth the time to put a request in, please do. Like Gabby said, the way it goes back to R&D, every ticket for the same feature is another vote up, and we take all of that into consideration when we do our planning year over year. And security wise too, I think that's something to call out. It's very secure. If you share your document with Onshape support, which again, shameless plug, I'd highly recommend. That speeds up the speed of resolution. But it's only shared with the support team. It's not like me or anyone on my team or anyone else at Onshape can see it. And the share is unshared when the issue is closed. So a lot of just really dynamic systems on the back end working to make sure that you have the experience you do, Ian. And I'm just so warmed to hear that it's been that way.
Yeah, that maybe
I
to
was going to
echo
say,
Brad.
I would just reiterate Jocelyn's, letting people know to go ahead and input these enhancement requests and submit your bugs. We've made it so easy to do. I've been in this business for a long time, and I've worked in technical support as well, and I've been a customer as well. And there were instances that I look at something and I went, this doesn't work for me, or I want this fixed. But the process to actually get that information to the company was so stringent that a lot of people just say, no, it's not worth my time. I'll just work around it. And I love the way that we've got things set up. It's just so ezy. So kudos to all of you.
Yeah,
that's all I can say here.
Kind of relating to that, Richard, if people need, different types of support, they actually need to speak with somebody or get on a call with somebody. That's another way that customer success can help too. Maybe this is a good question for you, Nick. Can you talk about how support can escalate to you, so that you can schedule, a session with a customer if needed?
Yeah, and that was exactly what I was going to talk about next. So like another big thing is, with Onshape in general, you're just not another number to us. We actually care about what you're doing, and we want to make sure you're successful. So Ian, for example, when we have like our quarterly meetings or anything like that, and there's a special feature or something that you would love to see in Onshape, and we get that improvement request or question sent to support, I'll be, having an eye out on that when it comes to different updates and everything, and being sure to follow up with you as soon as that happens. And for when it comes to escalations and things like that, when we need a workaround, or there's a best practice that you might not be aware of, that would be me reaching out to you, informing our technical services on what the situation is, and we're just more than happy to get you guys set up on a call with them and get that sorted.
Yeah, maybe not just at the low level, discussion. We've learned to use more expansive features of Onshape, the way we branch and merge and use sort of higher level features of the product. And our dedicated support engineer, Roy Mutalik, has been wonderful. And we don't just call him when we have a problem. We actually have an ongoing discussion. We have weekly meetings amongst our team to discuss process improvement. And once a month, Roy will join into our regular calls and discuss with us how we're using the product. So not just at the low level, instantaneous support, but an ongoing improvement of how we holistically use the product. Roy had no hesitation to join in and spend time with our team month after month, learning from us, and we learn from him, and it improves our use of the product. So, I mean, again, we don't pay anything extra for that. That was something we just asked if Roy could join. He said, sure, I'll do it. That willingness to participate in how we're learning as a company, again, was a complete surprise. And it's been great to have him, in a way, part of our team.
Yeah, Roy's great. He comes from a SolidWorks background as well. I think a bunch of us have, of course. So cool. Well, I think this was a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in and having this chat. The next thing that we're going to do is actually talk about the tip of the week, which is going to be conducted by user group guy, Richard Doyle.
Well, I'm going to do my best here. So let's get a window open here. So I think I've mentioned this before. I'm still quite a beginner at using Onshape. I'm getting better. I'm learning an awful lot. And I'm still working on the tiny house. And in fact, that's where this tip comes from initially. So one of the things that I was looking at doing with my tiny house was to create these mate connectors and these patterns of mate connectors. These are at 16-inch on centers, which is the appropriate dimension for house framing. And I thought, I can use these in my assemblies when I get to that point, and I can just drop my 2x4s or my studs right on top of those mate connectors. So I went ahead and I set up a mate connector here. It's got a little bit of an offset. You can kind of take a look at it here. I set that up about 0.75. And then I've got 6 of them patterned here. Okay. Unfortunately, when I went over to the assembly and started working with this, I realized that only the first mate connector came by. And I thought, well, I must be doing something wrong, or maybe that's a limitation of the software. And frankly, I was early on, and I'll apologize to all of the customer success folks here. I did not report this as what I suspected to be a bug. Instead, I brought this to the attention of some Onshape users at a user group meeting in San Francisco last year. And I had somebody from the audience said, hey, why don't you try this? So what I did, or what he suggested, let me go ahead and get rid of this, is there's an option in your patterns to apply per instance. Now, this is normally used for something quite a bit different. It's more for end conditions. So if you've got variable end conditions in your patterns, apply per instance will satisfy those end conditions in every case. But I also found that by using that, now when I insert it into my assembly, it also inserts that pattern. So that was a great tip that I learned from a user at a user group meeting. It saved me a lot of time when I started building some of the framing for the tiny house, and I was quite happy to learn that. So yeah. I hope that helps somebody else.
Yeah, mate connectors are awesome. I think of them as like hyperdimensional objects inside of Onshape when I'm using Onshape. It's like a plane and a point mixed together, and there's so many use cases for them.
And there's, we had a wonderful presentation from Katie Huffman last year at a user group meeting all about mate connectors. And I tell you what, I learned so much during that presentation. There's so many different uses for mate connectors that I'd never realized before. It's just a fantastic tool and absolutely wonderful. So that's my tip of the week, Michael.
Excellent. Thank you very much for sharing that. I think I will now display the model of the week. So let's bring that up right here. And wrong button. There we are. So model of the week this week is from a colleague, Greg Brown. And Greg Brown has been on the show in the past. Greg is into anything automotive. He's a gearhead. He's got a crazy racing bike and everything. But he always likes to kind of show off these kind of things. So if you look at this kind of crawler, suspension system here, this is a view-only link. In fact, I'll put the link right up here on the screen. So that's the model of the week. In case you want to see that, we'll put this as a comment in the show notes below as well. But this particular design is really nice because it shows the complexity of mates that you can work with inside the system. And I'm in here as just a view-only user. Like, you're going to be able to do this alongside me right now. You're going to be able to go into the mate list as a view-only user without any Onshape account, just view-only. And, you can animate things, right? So there's another little tip there. There's always more tips that you'll pick up on the podcast here. But actually, that's a little bit slow. Let's go to 30 here. Yeah, there we are. So you can see the reciprocating motion here, on the back of the linkage here. So, really pretty cool that you can do this in a view only model. As I'm spinning this around, looking at it, try it out. It's a really cool model. It's got some different configurations so you can see the different positions, of the suspension, and then work through design studies on it, so on and so forth. So model of the week, the crawler layout, you'll see a link to it in the notes, and here's the link here. So I'm really liking this particular model.
Yep, that's a good one. His full RC car model is something to behold as well, and maybe we can get him to show that as one of our models of the weeks sometime soon.
Yeah, we totally need to do that, and then we'll have to we'll have to actually have him race it around or something. He must have the real one somewhere, right?
He does. I've actually seen it. So
okay, cool. Well, I think that is it for our session.
Michael, if you don't mind, I'd just like to take just a quick minute to talk a little bit about the user groups, a little bit about a blog post that I did just last week, and that blog is still posted up on .com. You can go to the Innovator. Just wanted to let you know we had a great year in 2021 as far as the user groups go. We had a lot of user presentations, which are very popular. People like Sam Holland, Reese, joined us for meetings, did some incredible things. We learned a couple of things during the year. Participatory meetings are a good thing. We had a couple of feature script meetings where we had some users come in and talk about their feature scripts that they had created. We also had a couple of show and tell meetings where people brought in some fantastic models and went through those as well. The women's group had a great year. They had some fantastic keynote addresses. People like Haley Ann Friedman and Anouk Whiprecht were keynotes for the group. And I really want to highlight one individual. Now, we've got an entire advisory board that helps out with the user group network, and they do a great job. But a real standout has to be Brian LaGrange. Brian was all over social media this year promoting the user groups. He was in the forums. He hosted several meetings this year and always made sure that there was a really nice giveaway. You can see some examples in the blog post there. So thank you very much, Brian LaGrange. We're looking forward to a great 2022. And thanks to the entire advisory board as well. But I just wanted to give that thumbs up to Brian and let him know that we appreciate the work that he's done.
Totally. Yeah, I love his designs. He's got the fleur-de-lis and stuff.
Yep.
It's really pretty Louisiana and New Orleans.
He's Louisiana all the way, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Well, Mike, I agree. This has been a great show. Thanks, Ian, Gabi, Nick. I see Jocelyn probably had to go make a customer happy somewhere, so she had to leave us. But it was great having Jocelyn on as well. Do we know what we're talking about next on the next podcast, Mike?
Let's keep it a surprise.
Let's do that.
Well, thank you again, everybody. So happy to see everybody, and have a great 2022.
Yep. So long.